Alright there guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk about the Henderson update, shall we say. Something seems to have changed there in regards to Saudi Arabia. And also I'm going to give a couple of updates on Lavia and Colwill because a few people are DMing me on Twitter and asking for my opinion. So start with them two. Colwill, I don't think there's anything that Liverpool can do to sign that kid, if I'm being honest with you. I think it'll take north of 60 million to get him. Looking at transfer market now, they're saying there's a 19% chance of probability that Liverpool will sign him. Chelsea are under no sort of pressure to sell the kid. His contract doesn't expire till 2025. So they've still got 2 years left on it. If it was this time next year, then potentially, yeah, we would maybe potentially have a chance of getting him. But right now, I just can't see it happening, guys. I really can't see that happening, Colwill. Lavia, I think that deal would happen now if the price was a lot lower than 50 million. Now, I've said again in a video the other day, Southampton are pretty much guaranteed 40 million next year if they sell him to Man City, if City trigger that release clause. So it is a risk they're taking, not selling him now. But I think that's probably the starting point in getting him. There was a suggestion the other day that potentially they'd accept 45 million for him. So that is a little bit of a... they're coming down a little bit in price, so maybe give it a little bit more time. We may see something happen there with Lavia to Liverpool, but as it is right now, I think the price is just too much. Now, the main part of this video is the Jordan Henderson stuff. So, we've had two articles come out today, one from a very reliable journalist in Paul Joyce, but he came out after Chris Bascombe. Now, some people suggest that Chris Bascombe has links to or used to have links to players at Liverpool. And this is where I think...
didn't get that.
Siri. No, not Siri, I mean Apple Watch. This is where I think that this links come from. I think that this is potentially being put out there by Steven Gerrard. I don't know why. It's just an opinion I've got, because he used to have links with the players. Steven Gerrard used to play for Liverpool, so I'm just putting two and two together there. Could be wrong. Anyway, so the Chris Bascombe article starts off with: Jordan Henderson is wrestling with the dilemma of whether to quit Liverpool and join the Premier League exodus to Saudi Arabia, with a decision anticipated shortly. Liverpool have received no formal approach for their captain, but former teammate and Kop legend Steven Gerrard's team are leading the overtures for Henderson. Now, he is facing a big decision on whether to end his 12-year association with the club. At 33, Henderson will be weighing up the immediate benefits of a lucrative deal in the Saudi League, where he would join former teammate Firmino and a host of other big names, against the wrench of walking out of Liverpool right now. Henderson still has 2 years left on his Liverpool contract, but the landscape is evolving, with manager Jurgen Klopp rebooting his midfield with more options to choose from heading into next season. And it just goes on about McAllister and Szoboszlai. Clearly, the decision will be Henderson's as to whether to give the Saudis the green light to make an approach to Liverpool. Should a bid materialise, it will be clear Henderson has decided to make the move. Beyond that, Klopp's response to any such offer would be fascinating. The Liverpool manager would ideally like to add another midfielder to his ranks in Romeo Lavia, but his 50 million valuation is too high, and there would need to be further outgoings. It is illogical from a practical and financial perspective for Klopp to retain 9 midfielders in his squad, especially as Trent is now occupying a hybrid role. That makes for a fluid situation, with Thiago also expected to attract further interest from Saudi. You see, I saw something earlier on and it kind of made sense to me. They're going on about we've got 9 midfielders, which we have, but they all play different roles, they all play different positions. So you've got like McAllister, Szoboszlai, Jones and Elliott that are probably your 4 that are going to go for the 2 positions at the top. And then you've got Fabinho, Trent, Hendo, Thiago and Bajcetic that are going to go for the 2 behind in the pivot roles. It'd be like me going, we've got 7 defenders, but obviously we've got right backs, centre backs, left backs. Do you know what I mean? I don't like the way they're using that term, to be fair. But I get it at the same time. But yeah, anyway, it looks like we're going to have to get rid of one to bring in another one by the sounds of this. Nevertheless, Klopp may want Henderson to stay because of his experience. Having lost James Milner over the summer, it would represent a massive shift for another senior professional to leave. That is why Henderson's perspective on the offers is sure to be the most determining factor. Henderson will also be considering the implications for his England career should he move this summer. He remains pivotal to Southgate's plans ahead of next summer's European Championships and will not want to compromise his position. For sure, Klopp will want... For sure, that's Rafa that, innit? Klopp will want the situation resolved as quickly as he readies his squad for the crucial conditioning work in his pre-season camp in Germany. So that's Chris Bascom. And his title, I should have said at the beginning, is Jordan Henderson considering leaving Liverpool for Saudi. Is he though? Like... Yeah, so we've got Henderson. Like, you've seen the pictures of him before he reported back doing boxing, right? You've seen him come back to training yesterday and the reaction he got from Robbo, like, with how his physique has changed over the summer. So it looks like he's obviously getting himself ready for the Premier League, you know, like he's going to, I'm here, I'm going to fight for my position, I want to stay here, I'm getting into tip-top condition to prove to you that I'm ready for this fight, right? But then he's going to go to Saudi. It doesn't add up, guys. And then I have another point as well, but I want to just read the Paul Joyce one as well, see if there's any differences in what he puts. So Paul Joyce puts, Saudi club keen to lure Henderson from Liverpool. So you see the difference there already in the titles. Bascom says that Henderson's considering moving to Saudi, whereas Joyce is saying the Saudi clubs are keen to lure Henderson. So it's not Henderson doing it, it's the Saudi clubs doing it. So it's different there straight away already. Henderson is continuing to attract attention from Saudi Arabia, including Steven Gerrard's team, as interest in the Liverpool captain intensifies. Henderson, 33, has not yet been the subject of a formal bid, so that's very similar. It is unlikely that one would be made unless he was to indicate that he was willing to leave Liverpool. Agreed, which is like every transfer, so that's not really news, is it? Nevertheless, the England international continues to be courted at a time when Jurgen Klopp boasts 9 midfielders in his squad after signing some of his signings, McAllister and Szoboszlai. In addition to using Trent as a midfield pivot, means competition for places is fierce with Thiago, Fabinho, Curtis Jones, Bajcetic and Elliott already in position. The futures of Thiago, who's also wanted in the Middle East at the Saudi Pro League, continues. An expensive recruitment drive. The Saudi Pro League continues expensive, right, I get that. And Fabinho, 29, have also come under scrutiny given the question of how Klopp is going to keep all his midfielders happy. Well, he's going to play 4, isn't he, every game of the 9 at the moment. And then there's going to be the Europa League, there's going to be the FA Cup, there's going to be the League Cup. So they're all going to get games there, so never mind. And people are going to get injured. Do you know what I mean? Like, Thiago, we're really going to say he's going to be fit all season? Really? Okay, then. It remains to be seen whether the Liverpool manager will initiate talks with his players over the situation, given he has also been checking on another midfielder in Lavia. Klopp has always said he would try to find a solution for those who come to him early enough in pre-season and state a desire to leave, which is fair enough. However, he will want clarity, and with Liverpool heading to Germany for a training camp on Saturday, it is a pivotal period. If the situation was simply about cashing in on the finances being offered, then a deal might have already been struck, but the landscape is more complicated, especially in the case of Henderson, given his standing with England. Again, they're going about that again. These lads have both been told the same thing. I don't want to read much more because I feel like I'm just repeating myself after what I've just read, but they have literally both been told the same thing. They've both been briefed here. I'm reading these. They've just worded it a little bit different. And I've also seen as well that apparently Henderson's going to make a decision within the next 24, 48 hours before they go to Germany at the weekend, which does also make sense. So maybe that's the cut-off point. Maybe the cut-off point is this week for Henderson to make a decision, if it's even a decision to be made. Do you know what I mean? I do not believe that Henderson wants to go to Saudi Arabia. You know, I might look like an idiot if he ends up going, right? And he will probably go down in my estimation. But the guy, he stands for all these things that just don't go in Saudi Arabia. You know, like the rainbow laces and everything like that, and the armbands that they're wearing in the Qatar World Cup. He stood for all that, and then he's going to go move to a country where potentially, well, not even potentially, we know that that's, you know, it's illegal, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't add up, guys, to me. It really doesn't. And if Henderson was to take the money and go to Saudi Arabia, he would drop down in my estimations as a Liverpool captain and as a Liverpool player. He really would. But, you know, it is what it is. You never know with these footballers, you know, money talks at the end of the day. But I guess, just to summarise this video off at the end, if Henderson was to move, right, who would you think would be the next captain? Because I can't pick one right now. I've got people in my head who I think would be the next captain, but I could also knock them down as well with reasons why I don't think they'll be. So, for instance, just to give you the 5 that I can potentially think off the top of my head: Alisson, Van Dijk, Robertson, Salah or Trent. They're the 5 I could see becoming the next captain if Henderson was to leave, right? Salah, I take off straight away because, in all fairness to the guy, he's the best player. I don't like attackers being my captains, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It's not something that I like in my squads. Yeah, and I think this could potentially be his last season at Liverpool, so it doesn't make sense to give it to him. Van Dijk, again, his contract would be in the final year of his contract at the end of this season, so unless he was to sign a new deal, I would be reluctant to give it to him, even though he is probably the prime candidate for me, because I do like a centre-back as a captain or a goalkeeper. Alisson, again, he would be one of my top candidates for the captaincy, but I don't think he's very vocal. Like, maybe I'm wrong, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see that he gives off very much vocally. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe I'm a bit wrong there, but it's just a hunch I've got. I just don't think he'd make it as a captain a little bit. Robertson, again, I think he's got the character for it. He's a defender, like I like. But is he going to be in and out of the team if we sign another defender? And then I guess the one that I think I'm leaning more towards, and it's only due to his back of season like performances last year, is Trent. Midfielder. Now, midfielder, right? He's from Liverpool, so he's like the heir apparent to Steven Gerrard. And last season, towards the back end, he really like pulled his socks up and he really started leading and getting a bit more involved after the malaise and the struggles he had at the beginning of the season last year, where his head seems to drop. He really seems to have like just, you know what, I'm going to show everybody now. And he had something about him. So, I don't know, potentially he could become the captain of the club. Maybe. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments down below who you would think as captain. Give me a reason why as well. Like, I don't want you to just be like, oh, Salah, because he's the top goal scorer. Why, though? Why Salah? What does Salah bring apart from scoring goals? Leadership qualities, you know what I mean? Is he the captain of Egypt just because he's the best player? I don't know. Let me know down below, guys, in the comments with your suggestions for the next captain. And I'll catch you in the next one.